You ever get so used to being underestimated that it stops hurting? It's like living behind glass. People see their version of you, not you. And after a while, you stop trying to correct them, you just let them talk, because one day, they'll find out who you really are. And that day changes everything. Thanksgiving that my parents' estate smelled like roasted turkey and expensive candles. That I sat at the far end of the long oak table, the one with gold trim and old memories carved into every scratch. That my sister Clara was at Dad's right hand, as always, radiating that effortless confidence that comes from never being told no. Harvard, husband, hedge fund, two perfect kids. That my brothers, Michael and Evan, were the same kind of success story. One ran a consulting firm, the other practiced law at some glossy white shoe firm in D.C. And then there was me, Elena, the quiet one. The disappointment. Mom poured wine like liquid judgment. Dad's voice carried that polished authority that never really turned off, even after he retired as a federal prosecutor. They spoke in numbers, portfolios, and promotions, and when the conversation finally swung my way, I felt it before I heard it, that heavy pause. So, Elena, Dad said, like it was a test. You still working at that law office? I smiled. Yes, Dad. I'm still in law. Michael chuckled. Legal secretary, right? Or paralegal, Clara added, pretending sympathy. Hey, that's still something. Not everyone's cut out for real legal work. The table laughed. That sound, it wasn't cruel, not exactly. Just careless, like they were laughing through me, not at me. That I said nothing. That I just sliced my turkey, clean, silent. That my phone buzzed in my pocket. Once. Twice. Then it rang. Probably your boss, Michael said. Making sure the coffee's fresh. More laughter. That I glanced at the screen. Secure line. Supreme Court clerk. Urgent. That I stood up. Excuse me for a moment. Clara smirked. See? That's the problem with assistant jobs. No boundaries. I walked into the hallway. Justice Rivera, the voice said on the other end. That it was James, one of my senior clerks. Apologies for interrupting your holiday. The Castillo case, execution scheduled for midnight. The Fifth Circuit just denied the stay. We need your decision within the hour. My voice shifted, instinctively calm. Send me the full brief. I'll review immediately. Already in your secure inbox, Justice. The final call is yours. Understood. I hung up, and for a moment, the silence of that hallway felt heavier than any courtroom. A man's life hung on my next sentence. Dad's old study still smelled like his pipe smoke. His framed Georgetown law degree glared down at me from the wall. The irony wasn't lost on me. That I opened my laptop. The case loaded. 948 pages, evidence, appeals, transcripts. That a man convicted of murder in Texas, new DNA evidence just weeks old, enough to question the verdict, enough to make the state nervous. That I read fast. My mind cut through legal jargon like it always had. Years of prosecution. Appeals. Clerking, now, 3 years as the youngest Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. The evidence was strong, not conclusive, but strong enough that I signed the order, stay of execution. Granted, Justice Elena M. Rivera, Supreme Court of the United States. The phone rang again. Justice Rivera, the stays entered. Execution halted. Thank you, James. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I closed the laptop, exhaled, then walked back to the dining room. They were laughing again. That I slipped back into my seat, unnoticed. Everything okay, sweetheart? Clara asked. Your boss happy? It's handled, I said. Good. You really should think about getting a real law degree though, Dad added. You're 31, not a kid. Right, I said softly. A real law degree. My phone buzzed again. Chief Justice Reeves, direct line. That I stood. Sorry. One moment. Clara rolled her eyes. What kind of assistant gets this many calls? In the hallway. Elena, it's Margaret, said Chief Justice Reeves. I just saw your stay order. Brilliant work. Exactly the right call. Thank you, Chief. Oh, and Elena, stop letting them talk to you like you're their assistant. A pause. You're not muted. I froze. She laughed. Half the clerk's office heard your sister. They're taking bets on how long before your family figures it out. When I walked back in, dessert was being served, pumpkin pie. Whipped cream. Clara was mid-monologue about her latest acquisition, and then, my nephew, Noah, spoke up. Aunt Elena? Yes, honey? Why does Google say you're a Supreme Court justice? The room went still. Clara laughed too quickly. That's obviously fake, Noah. He turned his phone around at my photo. My bio, Justice Elena Marie Rivera, appointed by President Langford at age 28. Youngest Supreme Court justice in history. Dad went pale, Mom covered her mouth. You said you worked in law, she whispered. I do, I said. I just never specified which court. You let us think, Clara stammered. You let us think you were. I tried to tell you, I said. You just didn't listen. Dad sat down, his hands trembling. I told you to go to law school, he said. I offered to make calls for you. I said you'd wasted your life. I nodded. You did. And you saved a man's life tonight? Yes, I said. The Castillo case. There was new DNA evidence. He'll get a fair review now. Silence, the kind that doesn't just fill a room, it rewrites it. Mom's eyes were wet. We mocked you. We dismissed you. You noticed what you wanted to notice, I said. You heard what fit your version of me. The quiet one. The failure. The kid who never lived up to her potential. Dad looked down, voice breaking. You're one of 9 people who interpret the Constitution of the United States. Among other things, I said. They kept talking after that, tripping over apologies and disbelief that I didn't correct them this time either, that I just listened. Funny thing, when people finally see you clearly, they realize how blind they've been, and sometimes, the truth doesn't need to be shouted, that it just needs to exist. That night, after everyone left, Mom hugged me at the door. I'm proud of you, she whispered. For the first time? I asked. She flinched. Then nodded. That I smiled. That's enough. As I drove back to D.C., the city lights blurred like fading stars. Being underestimated isn't a curse, that it's camouflage, and when you finally step out of it, the world never looks at you the same way again. Never underestimate the quiet ones.